Welcome to our first episode of Crime Over Cocktails. We are so excited to roll this out to you guys. I hope you enjoy it.
This first case is about Tatsi Sanchez. She is a 27-year-old Mexican immigrant who moved to Las Vegas, Nevada in 2000. She was known to be a hardworking girl. She was happy, confident, very responsible, and she came from Mexico. So her dad is a very wealthy and successful businessman in Mexico. He paid her tuition. He paid for all her things that she wanted here. Her expenses. She paid for all of her expenses. He wanted her to live a happy and comfortable life in the States while studying and going to school. So he rented her a very large home so she could have space to do that. So Tatsi decided that she wanted to have something for herself while working in the States. So she wanted to provide for herself, have extra money, work hard. So she decided to get a job at a Mexican restaurant as a waitress. And while working at the restaurant, she met two customers who were named Marcella Whaley and Kimberlyn Estrada. Now, these customers were a couple for over 6 years. They were also very new to the Las Vegas area. They had also moved to Mexico in 2000, and she had overheard them talking while serving them about how they needed a place to stay. They were new. They didn't know anybody. So Tatsi, being the kind woman that she was, decided that she wanted to offer them a room to stay. Tatsi was the kind of person who, if she would give you the shirt off her back. If she had the means, she would help you, even if you were complete strangers. So when Marcella told Tatsi that they needed a place to live, they formed a friendship. They all identified with each other and had a connection, all being from Mexico, all being new in the area, not knowing anybody. So they all became very fast friends. So even though Marcella was in a relationship, she was also interested in other women and started to form a liking to Tatsi. Now, Tatsi at this time was 100% heterosexual until meeting Marcella and Kimberlyn. She had only been with men, was never interested in women, and Marcella made many advances towards her.
How do you think that comes about? You rent a room to these
I feel
people.
like there's late nights, drinking after work, and she's just like, hey.
And they probably work different shifts. So maybe they were left alone sometimes. Because, literally, how do you, rent
without
people
your girlfriend?
a room?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're like...
I feel like, there was probably, a lot of off shifts, a lot of alone time, and she just kind of was like, you're pretty, feeding into the ego, you know?
I mean, it had to be.
It worked. If you work on someone long enough and give compliments.
Yeah.
I mean, people love compliments, especially women.
Well, duh.
So you're going to feed into that and start to be like, I could be down, maybe.
Can I go this way?
Let's give it a try. Probably.
I mean, honestly, that's probably about 70%.
Yeah. I mean, she probably was interested before. Let's be real. You don't just one day,
swim in the ladies' pond.
Swim in the lady pond. You don't just flip a switch. You have ideas before. But you probably never acted on it. She's had boyfriends, and she was probably like, oh, that girl's cute. That girl,
Well, what it is... You need the right words. You need someone to be
the right vibe, too. If she's vibing with them, oh, we're all from Mexico. We're all new. We have a common bond. You think I'm pretty.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I would think... Okay, let's just say. Yes. If I was going to go that way...
Right.
I would want to do it with somebody who was experienced.
Right.
Because clearly I have no clue what I'm doing.
Right. 100%. Yeah, you don't want, two noobs.
No, that's just a hot mess.
Yeah, she could show her the rope. She's like, hey, I'm in a relationship. I got you, girl. Yeah, and she's like, all right, let's just give it a whirl.
Exactly. I've been with 6 girls, and you're going to be like,
Right? How's that? I feel like that's plausible.
So what ends up happening is after they're all living together, Marcella actually starts kind of hitting on her. And so, of course, she's all into it, and they end up being a couple. And Kimberlyn walks in on it. And obviously, she's not very happy.
Can you imagine that? Like, you're like, oh, thank God, I have a place to live. This girl's so kind and nice. And then you walk in from a long day of work, and you're like, what the hell?
Oh, she was not happy.
I would not. I mean, imagine.
Well, no, I can't. Especially because I'm sure they knew she was straight. So.
Well, yeah. Like, that's even... Right. Like, that's even more shock factor. Like, you're like, oh, cool. We'll live with this girl. No threats here. She likes men. And then, like, dun, 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 you walk in the room. and it's like your whole world blows up.
No, literally, they're laying in bed together. And Kimberlyn comes home from, like, work or something. And so she walks in the door, and they are spooning. And Marcella looks up and was like, get out.
Poor thing.
And so, I mean, of course, what the heck's gonna happen?
I would, like, that is just so cold-hearted, though.
It is.
Like, that's your first reaction when your girlfriend of 6 years, you move to a different country with, and you're just like, get out. Like, I would be, like, devastated as Kimberlyn. Like, you move to a different country, you know nobody, you think you're good, you're in a relationship, then your girlfriend's sleeping with your roommate.
I mean, I couldn't imagine. Well, I think she left on her own because obviously that's awkward.
Well, yeah, obviously she's not down with that. Like, Marcella wanted to have her cake and eat it too there, but Kimberlyn was not down with that.
No.
Which many people wouldn't be. I mean, you want to just be in your relationship.
I mean,
that was never discussed. Like, it was never like, hey, I'm thinking of adding a third. It's just like, surprise, get out.
Pretty much, yeah. It was like all kissy-kissy the night before. The next day, it's kind of like you've been replaced.
I feel so bad for her.
It's crazy.
That's horrible.
So, of course, she moves out.
Right, naturally.
And so, all of a sudden, Marcella starts getting super controlling over Tatsi. Like, she told her who you can hang out with, where you can go, all that stuff. And so, all of a sudden, Tatsi's feeling very smothered. She's not happy. She doesn't know who to turn to. So, of course, she reaches out to Kimberlyn.
Right.
And was like, what can I do? Whatever. So, they started meeting, like, over coffee, stuff like that. Just small talk. You know, just to talk about everything about Marcella. It made them feel better. And what do you know? They start falling for each other.
I feel like that's common, though.
Oh, it's a lot common.
Like, they have so many, especially, like, commonalities in Marcella. They've both dealt with her. She was always controlling before, but now even more so. So they have that common area. You're venting. You're identifying with somebody. And then you're like, oh, this is a cool chick.
This happens all the time, though.
Constantly.
Even with, like, heterosexual couples. You know,
yeah.
You're fighting with your husband, you go to work, you find
emotional
someone.
cheating, yeah. 100%.
Exactly.
And then eventually, things lead to where things usually go.
And that's where they went. So, but what ends up happening is, so Kimberlyn moves back in, but now she's taking the room with Tatsi.
Right.
So
she's
now,
got, like, the big room.
Yes. Like the master.
Like the suite.
Yes. She's like on the high rise.
Yes. She's like, hey, girl, I'm back, and I'm taking the nice shit.
So, right, pretty much Marcella got moved to, like, the normal bedroom, nothing, pretty much.
Because now you're just a friend. Y'all get along now, supposedly. They were all, like, jiving again.
Right.
On the surface.
Well, what happened is it blew up in her face.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, she's upset about it. She sulks in her room for, like, days. So, all of a sudden, she gets this great idea that, you know what? I'm going to brush this under the rug. Let's have a big barbecue, a big party.
Turn over a new leaf.
Exactly.
Start afresh.
She wanted to show she had no hard feelings.
Which I think is a valiant effort if that's actually what you want to do.
Right.
Like, putting on a face of that, your feelings on the inside are just going to grow bigger. If you want to, you know, like...
Putting on a mask doesn't change the inside.
Right, exactly. So, like, good for you for trying, but
Right.
you're not mentally there in your heart either. Like,
Right.
no.
But what's funny is, so they invite all these people over, and then all of a sudden they see Marcella making out with some random chick in the kitchen. So they think, oh my God, so she really is over all this.
Right.
Everything's
They're like,
good.
we're fine.
Yes.
Moved on.
They have no idea that she's still really kind of PO'd in the back of her mind.
So she's playing games with them.
Oh,
Like, they think they're all fine and dandy.
Yeah. So what happens is, throughout the party, people start to leave. There's only a couple people left. And so they decide that they're going to play a game. The game, literally, if somebody ever asked me this question...
I'm, like, nervous to hear what this game is.
No, but, like, I don't even know if I would answer truthfully. Or, okay, let's just say, okay? So we're having a party.
Right.
And so we're going to sit down, and we're all in a circle.
Right.
And so I'm going to ask you, what is the worst way you would like to die?
Oh my God, what?
Yeah.
That's what Marcella says?
And they go around the circle.
They all answer?
Yes. But supposedly,
Morbid.
she was very interested in what Tatsi had to say.
Like, did she probe her more? Like, she answered and she was, like, asking more questions to her?
Pretty much she said she would hate to be tied up, raped, strangled, and murdered.
That is such a morbid game, and if I was at a party and anyone asked that, I'd be like, I'm dipping out. I'm good on this. Like, I'm going home. This is crazy.
I want to die in my sleep.
Yeah, or say something like totally, like, naturally in my sleep. Yeah, but, like, who's gonna go into their, like, deepest, darkest fears?
Right. Oh, she literally said step by step what her worst death would be.
But that is such a frightening question to ask in a public forum.
That's what
like, why would all these people be like, oh yeah, this is a great question, so blah, blah, blah. Like, I would be like, dude, what's wrong with you, Marcella? Like, we're having a party, we're having fun.
Yeah, we're on a high note.
Yeah, we're not talking about being, like, awfully murdered. Like, chill, Marcella. Go have a drink and calm down.
And then pass the dip.
Right? Like, it's like, what the heck?
It's just crazy. You know, here they are, they're playing musical beds. Everybody's all over the place. Now all of a sudden she has like a coming to Jesus moment, making out with some rando in the kitchen. And then it's, so how do you not want to die? Like, I just don't know how I'd feel about that.
I can tell you with 100% confidence, I would feel so uncomfortable and literally leave and, like, probably not talk to her for a while. Like, I'd be like, you need a timeout. Like, that is just weird. That's not an appropriate setting, and that's not an appropriate question to ask. Like, that's not like, what's your deepest fear? It's like, specifically, word for word, what would be your worst fear of dying? Please tell me and go. Like, that's so weird.
I don't know how I would answer that. And I don't know if maybe they were all drunk, but how do you not think that's, like, not okay?
Like, that topic is just, like, so off-putting. Even if you're drunk, I feel like I would kind of be like, what? Like,
it's just
cringy. It's just cringy. Even if you're drunk having a good time, like, it's just a weird, cringy, creepy thing to bring up.
I've been to a lot of house parties, and I gotta tell you, this conversation has never came up in my life.
Never came up. Literally never.
Like, that's not a normal red flag.
Yeah, that's complete red flag.
They all answered it.
I don't, like, to be a fly on the wall at that party at that time, like, I would just be like, what?
For real. But apparently, I think there was only, like, 5 of them still there. And so they were all like, oh, well, this, and this. But
no, I don't know. I digress with that. That's just, like, too much for me. Kimberly and Marcella at the time worked at the same restaurant. They were both waitresses, hosts, and they worked generally the same shifts usually. So on the morning of January 15th, 2001, after this party, they woke up in the morning, found Tatsi dead. One of the people who crashed from the party called the police, and they said they found this woman dead. She is face down in her room. She's non-responsive. We need help. So, Kimberlyn and Marcella come home. Freak out. Kimberlyn, so emotional, doesn't know what to do. Marcella's showing emotions too, but just not like Kimberlyn. Like, it's just different that the police know that she's just kind of like, she's upset, but she's like, like, you know, it's just a weird vibe that she's giving. So they found her laying face down in the bed. Her hands were tied behind her back with electrical cord, and she was gagged with her own hair and like a hair scarf that she had owned. And on top of the body, the police found a movie ticket stub for the movie What Women Want.
I love that movie.
I actually probably haven't seen that movie in many a year. Is that the one with Mel Gibson?
Yes, where you can read people's minds.
Oh, yeah. I feel like, I don't know if I liked it or not. I don't remember. I've seen it so long ago.
You know my favorite
I just remember him putting the, like, leggings on in the bathroom and, like...
I don't know why my favorite thing in that movie is when he's walking down the street and it's a poodle. Senor, I have to poop.
Yes! I just literally don't know if I care for it. I feel like thinking back on it, I would like it, though.
No, it's super cute and it's funny.
I just literally remember him in the bathroom, like, fumbling around, trying to put on his
He was, like,
stockings.
shaving
Yeah,
and
shaving
stuff.
and trying to, and, like, falling
Because he had,
all
like,
over.
a woman kit or something he was supposed to do.
Yes.
It's a good movie.
So, homework, watch What Women Want. So they found that on the body, which the police kind of were like, that's really weird. That seems kind of intentional. Like, who just leaves a movie ticket stub that shows, like, what theater, what time you saw it? There's obviously cameras in these theaters. The police are kind of like, that seems to be a clue. Let's make a mental note of this. Seems kind of weird. So after investigating, talking to people, they realized that Tatsi was recently in a lesbian relationship with these women, so they kind of felt like it was intentional towards that. Like, you know, what women want, you're in a relationship with women. They were kind of like, seems suspicious here. Let's try to dive a little deeper in this. So, the police had stated their first impression, obviously, she strangled. Obviously, she was sexually assaulted. So, they kind of thought that didn't jive with the ticket either because... you know, these men are attacking you. Was this preemptive? Was this a burglary? Was this a home invasion? Is it the wrong place at the wrong time? They don't really know at this point. So they did find out that things were taken from Tatsi's house. So it was burglarized. They took a TV, they took her computer, they took her Cartier watch, and...
a video camera.
And some of Tatsi's jewelry was missing as well. So they did see from the crime scene that forced entry was there. Like, nobody let them in. She probably didn't know these people, they think, at this point.
She was asleep in her bed.
Yeah, everyone's sleeping. It was at night, early in the morning. So they knew it was a planned attack. They knew it was a planned sexual assault. They were just like, what could have happened here? Why did this happen? So then they find out her car is missing. So they obviously took all these belongings, put it in Tatsi's own car, took her car. So now they're like, we need to find this car because clearly that's going to be part of where...
Fingerprints,
yeah. DNA, location is everything. So they're working hard. They're like, we need to get in this. We need to dive deep. We need to figure this out because this is just all not adding up at face value. It's just craziness. So they obviously go in and interview everybody. They interview, obviously, her roommates, Kimberlyn and Marcella. You know, when they interviewed them, Kimberlyn, again, was very upset, crying, very emotional. They noted that. They were like, this is a sincere reaction. But they also stated that, Kimberlyn stated that Marcella knew about their relationship. They also said that Marcella was supportive of their relationship. So they were under the impression that they were all good now. So... Marcella even said that she supported them. She was happy for them. They had all moved on. They're all in this great place. Kumbaya. They're all good. So police are like, okay, that seems very mature of you, Marcella, because you seem to have gotten the short end of the stick here. Like, kind of weird.
Little do they know.
Right? So they're kind of like, they're keeping her in mind as a suspect because she's like the only one with a motive right now.
Right.
That they see.
They were actually really happy. Tatsi and Kimberlyn were like the happiest they've ever been.
Oh, yeah. This was like the best relationship. Much better than Kimberlyn and Marcella. Much better than Marcella and Tatsi. They understood each other. It was just like a very chill, understanding relationship. Like, there was no aggression, animosity. It was just very
Right.
kind and sweet and nurturing.
Marcella was like a control freak.
She was very, and it got worse after they broke up, because she didn't really necessarily want to lose Kimberlyn. She just wanted both of them and to kind of step out and have what she wanted. But Kimberlyn was not down with that. So when she left, it kind of snapped in Marcella. Like, she was like, crap, I just lost this woman that I've been with for 6 years. Now I'm with Tatsi, and now I need, like, a new thing to, like, control. And Tatsi was just not into that. She was like, this is my first relationship with a female. I don't like this behavior anyways. And Kimberlyn and her just, like, clicked. It was just a good, healthy relationship. It started on good terms. Marcella and Tatsi started kind of behind the scenes, behind people's backs. Like,
Right.
Kimberlyn and Tatsi kind of started naturally and organically. They built a friendship. Then, things ended with Marcella and Tatsi. They started hanging out, growing their relationship. And it was just, like, good for both of them.
Absolutely. No, for sure. They both said, too, like, they were so happy, and it was a completely different dynamic than what they had.
Healthy and, like, just good for them.
They were planning a future together.
Oh, I can just picture, like, Marcella in the background in her room just being, like stewing.
Oh, of course.
Just, like, really, like, this couldn't work with me with either of you two, and now you two are happy separately, and I'm here in my, like, small-ass room with, like, no girlfriend. Just sad that so many things were looking up for these two women, and then this horrible crime happens. Obviously, police are investigating. They're talking to everybody they know. They're noting that Marcella is the only one with a motive, so they're just like, something's not right with this girl. But both women have a very strong alibi. They were both working. They were scheduled to work. They interviewed all their coworkers. They left early in the morning to go to work. They were seen all day at work by coworkers. So they're like, okay, this is weird. Like, maybe you had something to do with it, but people had eyes on you all day. So you weren't the one who did it.
Right.
So they kind of had to work around that. So they did also know the killer was a man. She was sexually assaulted. So they
found
had that.
semen.
Yeah, they found semen. She was raped. They kind of had to piece together how maybe one of the women had to do with this, both of the women, neither of the women, with this, man or men who burglarized this woman's home and murdered and raped her. They're kind of like grasping at straws here. They don't have much to go on. Her autopsy did confirm she died of strangulation, so they had that. So days, weeks go by. They really have nothing. They're doing their legwork. They don't have any tips. So eventually, they receive an anonymous tip from a man. So he said that he knew where Tatsi's car was parked. He knew it, he saw it, and he was willing to tell them. But he was nervous to talk to them because this man was not a documented person in the United States. He was an illegal immigrant as well. He didn't want to get involved, but he just felt so compelled to tell them. He felt bad. He knew what happened to Tatsi, but he was just nervous he would get deported. So he was kind of like piecemealing, giving like small clues. Like, I know where her car is. I know that, but not really like diving deep in it. So he told them where her car was. It was found 15 miles away from her home, but it was a half a mile away from Kimberlyn and Marcella's job. So they were kind of like, well, that's a little suspicious.
Right.
Like, how is her car a half a mile away, but nobody knew where her car was? You didn't see it. You work there every day.
And it was kind of like just along like a chain fence. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't, there was no houses, no.
It's like hiding in plain sight. Like,
Right.
and especially if you're going to and from work, they're kind of like, you live with this woman. You both dated her. One of you are with her. Like, how do you not know what her car looks like? Like, it just seemed like they were just kind of like, their wheels were turning. Like, what?
Something's not right.
What the heck? So they took it in to investigate. They ran the DNA prints, all that jazz. They brought them in again, Kimberlyn and Marcella, because they were like, this is not adding up. We need to talk to you guys again, because clearly something's not working here. So they did ask them, why do you think her car was found so close to the job? Like, did you guys not see it? Both of them were adamant. I don't know. I don't know why her car was there. I didn't see her car. I have no clue. So the police still were kind of like, this is really, really weird. Like, nobody says they know anything, but clearly someone knows something.
Right.
So they're again at a standstill. They're waiting for the forensics to come back. 9 days later, they still had no leads. They had no suspects. Nothing. they got a call from a man named Rodrigo Mata, who was the anonymous caller who said that he knew where the car was parked. So they had already spoken to him. They just didn't know his name. So he says he knows the whole story of what happened to Tatsi. He's afraid to speak. He's undocumented. He doesn't want to come in. He knows, but it's just weighing on his conscience. He just can't go on knowing it's a horrible crime, and he just feels so guilty knowing what happened to this poor, kind woman.
Because she was so nice.
She was so sweet, and it was unnecessary, and he's a kind man. He got involved with the wrong people, and he was just like, I need to come clean because this is just not right. So he said he's willing to come in. He wanted to identify her, wanted to come in and interview. So he did. So Rodrigo's story, he worked with a man named Luis Barroso, and he was involved with him in different petty crimes. He wouldn't really go into detail on what they did criminally. He was just like, we're involved. So police were like, all right, we're not going to push you. We're talking about Tatsi. So he said Luis told him he was involved in a murder, and he showed him where Tatsi's car was, and that's why he reported it to police. And police were like, well, why would he just tell you that? Like, you're not just going to be hanging with your friend, and you're like, hey, by the way, I killed somebody. Like, that just seemed kind of weird to them. So he was like, yeah, that's not what happened. So Luis took Tatsi's jewelry, and he wanted Rodrigo to sell it for him on his behalf, like, on the streets. He wanted money for Tatsi's jewelry. So he asked him to help sell the stolen items. And then Rodrigo was kind of like, well, where'd you get this? So that's why he went into the story, like, I was involved in this murder, took this stuff, I need some money, can you help me? Because Rodrigo was known to have, like, intel on the streets and, like,
connections.
Sell stolen items. So he said he took the items to give it to police because he was like, this is just not right, I'm going to turn it into police. So that's hence where we are in the interview room. He did hand over the jewelry to the police so they can confirm that they were Tatsi's. So they did show the jewelry to her girlfriend, Kimberlyn, who confirmed that, yes, that is Tatsi's jewelry. So they were like, great, we have a lead. We have a guy who's involved.
Also, they did a raid of their apartment where they live.
Yes.
And they found Thanksgiving dinner on a video recorder at Tatsi's house. So they knew there's no reason why these men should have Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
It's clearly her video camera.
Right.
They found her laptop.
Her TV.
Yeah, they found all of it.
Everything.
In their house.
Right. Like, no shame in even hiding. Like, they're just like, stuff's all over. So they did also, Luis also did tell them, like, hey, he's involved with another coworker, Obed Mariquin, who is also a criminal in Nevada that these men are involved with. So they eventually got a warrant. They, like you said, they found all the things in the house. So they're like, all right, we got our guys. It's Obed and it's Luis. Rodrigo is just an unfortunate third party who had to hear the horrible tale of poor Tatsi's murder.
Could you imagine somebody,
No.
a coworker telling you that?
No, like, I get how it comes up because I don't get it, but in the situation that he's explaining, I'm thinking in, like, a criminal mindset, you know, like, if this is what you're used to, this is your life, and he's like, hey, I got some hot items, I need you to sell it.
How do you process that?
Obviously, he didn't because he needed to come clean, like, he couldn't handle it. Like, he was like, this is too much. Like, it's not like you stole it from, like, a store.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like, that's
like,
different.
there's a
Like,
difference.
This
between...
is a dead woman's jewelry.
Exactly.
Like, from a horrible, horrible murder. It's not just, like, she passed naturally and you're like, oh, this is a good time. Let me just take some jewels here. Like, you literally did a horrible thing to this woman, and he said they had, like, no care. Like, he was just...
They were bragging.
Matter of fact, bragging, like, yeah, I murdered her. Yeah, we did this. We tied her. Like, and this guy's just, like, dumbfounded. And he's just like, what? Like...
Because they got to have sex with her.
Yeah, which is...
And so they bragged. I'm wondering if it was, like, their virginity... Because...
How horrible. First of all, what a horrible virginity story.
Or is it? You don't know how crazy these dudes are.
That is insane. She's not like a trophy. I mean, I guess with these people, I can see how they would think that's a trophy, but, like, what the hell?
Well, they both got to have their way with her.
Right.
But Marcella, who's never been with a man, offered up her virginity to them for this crime.
Right. But just to Luis. She didn't say Obed. She just offered Luis $3,000 and her virginity with a male.
And then she said, take whatever else you want.
Right.
So that's why they took...
And they were like, down, let's go. Let's do this. Like, who, like,
That's a good deal.
Yeah, like, like, literally, you're taking a woman's life for the opportunity to sleep with a woman and $3,000. Like, how far is that gonna get you? I have a bleeding heart for literally everybody. And I'll be like, oh, poor thing. But, like, you know, Tiff's more tough love. So, like, you know, maybe he thought this was, like, his only chance. You know, like...
Dude, if you gotta murder someone to sleep with them...
I don't know. I would not take that deal, clearly. But maybe he was like, hey... I got nothing else to do this day. I don't know what his mindset's like. Clearly,
well, it's Tuesday. Yeah, you know, like my schedule's open.
Let's pencil in a quick murder. I mean, I don't know. Like, these people clearly are criminally inclined, right? So they
never went to that extreme. Murder.
There's a
rape.
first time for everything.
How do you go from stealing a mom and pop like watch or a toaster, for God's sakes? And you go to a rape, murder, tying up, gagging, like...
People are just crazy.
And just to note, before he actually killed her, he said, this is from Marcella.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To be that woman at that point in time...
Like, how scared... Imagining this poor woman, like, you don't know what's happening.
She was dead asleep. They woke her up.
Yeah, to have these horrible, this is literally, remember from the game, literally her worst, deepest, darkest fear of how she would never want to die. And it's, like, playing out in life.
It was
like,
step by
step.
That's why she told him, make sure you let her know this is from Marcella.
Like, she wanted her to be completely humiliated, completely just, like, at her worst. Like, it wasn't just, like, she literally told them, like, drag it out. Punish her. She needs to be punished. Like...
Oh, for sure.
It was not, like, just a quick slit her throat, goodbye, thank you. Like, make it painful. And they did.
Screaming.
It was over an hour that they tortured this woman. Like, over an hour.
It's so sad.
It's so horrible. It's so horrible. So police are trying to get more from these guys. And they're like, listen, you guys, you could be facing the death penalty here. Like, this is not good for you guys. Like, y'all need to come clean. So... Luis says he was involved, and this is where he does come clean. He's like, yeah, I was involved. We did this, me and Obed, but I'm not the mastermind. He's like, I didn't come up with the shit. Like, this isn't from me. So he tells police that Tatsi started a relationship with Kimberlyn. So Marcella felt betrayed at that point. Naturally. Like, we all could probably guess.
But you got... with Tatsi on Kimberlyn.
She didn't think, okay. So
how does it go that way? Oh, I can sleep with whoever I want, but you can't?
Exactly. So that's where police are kind of like raising an eyebrow. Like, literally, this all started because you stepped out on your relationship. Essentially. Like,
oh, for sure. You would have kept it in your pants.
Right. Like,
this wouldn't happen.
No, because had you not tried to pursue Tatsi and you stayed in your relationship with Kimberlyn would have never left. Would clearly something snapped in your brain because Kimberlyn left. That affected her in some type of way, right?
And Tatsi would still be dating men.
Right. Tatsi would still be with men. Maybe she would have dated women, but not this crazy woman, Marcella. And Kimberlyn and Tatsi would have never gotten together. Marcella would have never gone haywire. And this amazing woman, by all accounts, would have been alive still. So police are kind of like, no. So she was supposedly felt left out. She felt left behind. She felt lost. She felt like she lost both women from her life because, she's not this, like, pinnacle in their lives anymore. She's not, like, number one. They're, like, together. They're happy. They're thriving. They're living their best life. And she's, like, she feels like, oh, Like, well, now because of my actions, like, my life kind of sucks. Which,
now I've been replaced.
Right.
And that was unacceptable.
Yeah, she was like, I'm not having this. Like, this is not going to be my life, right? So she wanted to control them both. And that clearly wasn't happening because as their relationship is thriving, they're trying to get away from this controlling person as much as they can. They're trying to, like you said before, plan their future. They're trying to live. And Marcella was like, no. So at that point, she contacted Luis. Offered him the $3,000, offers him her virginity. He was like, cool.
And they get to sleep with Tatsi, so now that's
and they get
two.
Not only sleep with her, they get to pretty much do whatever they want to her because she was like, make it hurt. So she told him he wants her to be humiliated, he wants her to be sexually assaulted, and she wants her to be punished. So he was like, cool. Like, let's do this. Let me get my friend over here. We're gonna go. Try to make it look like a burglary. But, whatever. So, Kimberlyn then is re-interviewed by police with this new information. And she was like, you know what? Actually, we did have the same shift. I did see her. But for some amount of time, like, I didn't see her. So, like, she wasn't accounted for the whole time. So, like, was she communicating with these men? Like, this is a good time. Police are kind of like, not good that people can't find you. Eventually, obviously, they're both arrested, Obed and Luis, because y'all flipped.
But also, Kimberlyn she's the one who remembered the game they played.
Yes.
And she said her words.
Yes.
She didn't want to be strangled, gagged, raped.
So police are like,
Coinkydink.
Fancy that, Marcella. Who asked the creepo question?
Right. And
like,
they said, like, literally when other people would answer, she was like, yeah, okay.
Right.
And
like, so Tatsi.
Yeah.
More on that, please, microphone. Like, it's like.
She was so into
Oh, yeah. Like, she clearly was planning this.
Right. That's what she's doing in her
like,
room while she's playing nice.
She's sitting there stewing. She's like, these women, they left me. They're happy. I hate them. I need them to be punished. And now I want this woman who supposedly in her mind took everything from her, even though she didn't. She had no accountability for her actions. Like, she didn't realize, like, this is all stemming from me. Like, she was just like, this is the problem. This woman's the issue. She stole my girlfriend, like, taking no accountability of, like, well, I tried to, like, step out on my relationship to begin with. It's just like, Tatsi. Tatsi's all my problems.
Right.
Tatsi needs to go.
Which, bitch.
No. Like, and, like, that it just baffles me always, like, and I will probably say this every single case we do. How do you think like that? Like,
their train of thought, because they are so mind control. They're a narcissist.
But
it's all
crazy.
about me.
You did something and all this trickled down after, and then you're like, no, hey, God, no. I'm not the problem. Y'all are the problem. Like, this poor woman she was straight. You're the one who tried to turn her. Like, if you had not tried to do that, this all would not have happened. You would still be with Kimberlyn, renting this room in the house. She might
have been with, like, a Bob.
Tatsi had a boyfriend, soon before she met them. Tatsi had a boyfriend. Like, she was in a relationship.
Right.
Like, right before she met them. So it's like, had you left this poor girl alone and just rented a house and, like, come up by yourself and, like, moved out with your girlfriend, like, y'all would be fine right now.
I kind of think she found her as, like, a challenge. Oh, you're straight? Let me turn you.
But then don't go and kill the girl.
Because then she took, what else? She wanted, I don't know if she wanted threesomes for the rest of her life.
Kimberlyn was not into that. Kimberlyn had made that clear supposedly her whole relationship. She was not interested in adding people, threesomes, Kimberlyn was, like, monogamous. So Marcella just wanted to be like, I want a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And Kimberlyn was like, I'm not down. Like, sorry, girl. And she, like, ducked out. Which, like, good for you, Kimberlyn, though.
No,
like,
for sure. You gotta stand up for your own beliefs, your own morals, all that.
But it's just, like, it just baffles me because this poor woman is dead now.
She's so nice, so kind.
So hardworking, like...
She's beautiful.
Loved by everybody. Like, nobody literally in any type of research I did had, like, a unkind word to say about her. Like, which I know everyone, when you die, like, no one's gonna say something bad about you. But, like, by all accounts, like, she was just, like, So sweet. Like I said earlier, would give you the shirt off her back. Like, if she had a penny and you needed it, she would give it to you if that was her last penny. Like, literally, so she offered strangers a room in her home.
I was just gonna say that.
Like,
she's serving a table.
Yeah.
And they're like, can I have the hash brown? She's like, how about a guest room?
Right? Like, how much more kind could you be? Like,
I could never do that.
no. Well, first of all, because I'm, like, so scared of everybody. I would not be able to do that. But, like, how, like, think of that kind heart. Yeah, like, she didn't, like, judge anybody. She just wanted to help people.
She didn't even care that they were lovers.
No, she was just like, you guys are down on your luck. Like, I got some space, girls. Come on.
Right.
Let's hang. Let's be friends. We're all from Mexico. We're all new here. Like, cool. And they were like, great. And then a year later, oh, I'm going to murder her. Like, it just upsets me. It just really...
The thing that upsets me is by the time they get Lewis and they get Obed, she's already fled. She's in Mexico.
So she learns that they're both arrested and she's like, oh, fuck. Like, this is not going to look good for me. So she takes her shit, tells nobody, flees to Mexico. Back to where she's from. She's like, I'm not dealing with this.
Where they have no extradition.
Well, they have extradition, but it's different for...
death penalty. They do not believe in the death penalty. It's different for death penalty,
and it's different if you are a citizen of Mexico. So...
if you're a native.
Yes, if you're a native. So that's where it gets a bit sticky. So she goes to Mexico. Police assumed, obviously, that she left the country. So let's pause on Marcella's little story here and talk about the trials of the men before we get into the more disheartening pieces of Marcella's story in Mexico. Obviously, the men are tried. So February 2004, Luis goes to trial. He's convicted. He had 10 counts against him, convicted of all of them. They were like, his charges included first-degree murder, sexual assault, and kidnapping. He got life without parole because they were like, you were the primary of the scenario.
You accepted it.
You accepted. You were the middleman. You were the one, like, Obed. He just came along. You kind of just, like, grabbed him along. So, in May 2004, Obed goes to trial. He also pleads guilty to first-degree murder. He had 2 counts of kidnapping with the use of a deadly weapon. And in exchange, he got life in prison with the possibility of parole in 40 years.
Okay, I don't understand the kidnapping part. Who did you kidnap?
I think the kidnapping came from when you, like, tie somebody up.
I mean, obviously they can't go anywhere. But...
right, I think that was, like, because he made a deal because he wanted the possibility of parole. So, like, they kind of lessened his charges to the...
But he raped her, too.
Right, but he wasn't, like, the middleman, the one who agreed on... like, you know, they're just trying to get, like...
I get that, but at the same time,
maybe
you walked
his
into the
DNA
house.
wasn't in her... right, so... I don't know. I mean...
what, he was smart and wore the condom? Like...
maybe.
I mean
they didn't really...
dipping.
Ew, what? Oh, God.
Well, I'm saying.
I mean, but that was the thing. When I researched, like, they didn't really say if he sexually assaulted her. Like, they 100% knew Luis did, but they didn't really say Obed did. So I think that's why they weren't convicting him of sexual assault. And they're like, all right, so you just get the murder and the kidnapping because they couldn't... I don't know if they couldn't prove it or if they weren't 100% that he did that. So that's why he got the lesser charges. And then he has possible parole in 2034. So coming up soon, he could be getting out. So that's kind of baffling. But it's also because he told police, Obed told police, he was like, I went to her house. Luis told me that we were just going to, like, burglarize the place. We're just going to rob it. Like, nobody said anything about murder, tying people up, gagging, humiliating, punishing, raping. Like, he was like, I literally just thought we were here for the belongings and we were gonna, like, dip out and then sell some shit. Like, he did not know this whole plan. And Luis even said, like, he didn't know. So that's probably also why he got lesser charges, because he went into it not planning to murder a woman. Luis fully knew what he was there to do and just, like, brought Obed down because he's like, all right, you're my bro. Like, you're gonna be down. We've done shit before.
Right.
So, let's do this. He did say he tied her up. He strangled her. And then he said Luis sexually assaulted her before killing her.
I mean, I get that. And I think that's, like... I don't know if it's before, like, the finals strangulation, whatever it is.
Like,
But
who actually strangled?
Well, that's when he literally got up close and whispered in her ear, "This is from Marcella."
Like, which is so creepy because, like, if you're, like, obviously you're not a hired hitman. You're, like, just, like, some, like, small-town criminal in Nevada, right? Like,
he worked with them.
Right, but, like, you, but I'm saying, like, you are so cold-hearted. Like, even if you're hired for a job for, like, a measly $3,000 and, like, some lesbian's virginity, like, you're gonna be so cold-hearted to, like, whisper in this poor woman's ear that you know, like, this is for Marcella. Like, that's just so, like...
Because Marcella told him he had to. Make sure the bitch knows who sent you.
Oh, it's just...
So I don't even know if it was like Marcella sent me or Marcella.
But it's just even saying that, like, I feel like if you're doing what you're doing, like, give the girl a break. Like, you don't need to, like, make it worse.
She made it very clear she wanted her to know exactly where this came from.
Like, he clear... Ugh, it's just these men.
Sickening.
I don't know. It's sick because, like...
It's somebody you trusted. It's somebody that you had dated. You know? And obviously...
And you thought you were fine. Like, there was no trouble in paradise. Like, everyone's like... Marcella's like, hey, I'm over it. We're good. I'm making out with this girl. We're cool. Like, it's not like she was still stewing. Like, Kimberlyn moved back in. They were all hanging out. They were all fine. So, like, these girls thought, like... Great, we all moved on. We're in a happier place. Marcella's getting some healthy mindset. Like, good for her getting a new girl or whatever she's doing. And then it's like, surprise, I'm gonna hire a killer.
I wonder, though, if that chick was, like, really... Was she, like, hired? Hey, I'm gonna make out with you?
No, I
kind
of feel like she was just, like, at the party. Because you know how, like, drunk girls get? Like, they're just like...
Let's make out.
Yeah, let's make out real quick, please, and then I'm gonna go home. Like, you know, I don't feel like she went that deep into it.
Right.
But, I mean, you never know. This woman's crazy. So,
apparently,
getting back to Marcella. So, this whole time, these years, these men are going on trial. They're tried, they're convicted, they're in prison. Police are still trying to find Marcella. Clearly, she's not in the U.S. anymore. So, Marcella went back to Durango, Mexico, which is where she was from. And get this.
Oh my god, this part kills me.
This kills me too. So you would think, so let's just hypothetical. You murder someone, you're in a murder for hire plot, right? You're gonna flee to Mexico and, you know, you're gonna lie low, right? Right? Like, you're gonna go under the radar.
Yeah.
And lie low. Like,
normal people. What does this
No.
chick do? Oh no.
No.
Oh
Gets
no.
a job
As a newscaster.
as a public newscaster. You're on TV every day reporting the news, living your best life on TV, not a care in the world, not even, like, you're just like, yeah, I killed someone, it's my fault, but here's your daily news at 9. Like, who, what? Like, the audacity.
I think the guys might have gone first, and since Luis did get death, Mexico does not agree with death. So they said they would not send her back.
Right, so
with
she
the
was
death
not
penalty.
So she was arrested in Mexico in 2002 in August. The Mexican authorities arrested her, and because she could potentially be facing the death penalty in the U.S., they were like, no.
No extradition.
We're not going to extradite her. We're going to try her here. So the Mexican authorities and the police from Nevada and Las Vegas, they worked together because they obviously had all this stuff on her. Like, it's not like they had to try hard to prove that she was guilty.
The thing is, though, the only reason why they even went after her, because at first they wanted no part of it.
Right.
Until they found out it was another Mexican native.
Right.
That is what they're like, okay, we're going for her, but she will not come back to the U.S.
Right.
She will not go to jail there. She's
Right.
going to stay here. Death penalty off the table.
Like, this is where they came from. This is their hometown. Like, I get they were in the U.S., but we're going to send it back heresies. Which, you know, is very unsettling because, like, I get they have their own rules, and because they were Mexican nationals and not technically United States citizens, Mexico was like, well, this is our problem now, right? But at the same time, it took place on U.S. soil. So, like, I feel like these men are getting years and years and years, life without parole, And she was only sentenced in 2005 to 39 years in prison in Mexico. So it's like, really, like, it's just, to me, like, reading that, I'm just like, really, that's all you got? Like, you took a woman's life intentionally for literally no reason at all other than your actions, and like
jealousy.
Like, that's crazy though, that like you can't be extradited back. Like, can you imagine this poor woman's family? Like, you want justice for your like beautiful daughter's life that was taken from you.
Oh, for sure.
And like they're like, oh yeah, slap on. Like, it's almost like a slap on the wrist, I feel like 30 something years. Like, you're in your 20s. You're gonna get out by the time you're 50-something. And, like, I don't know how the Mexican prison works. Like, if you get out on good behavior. I don't really know. I didn't dive deep on that. But
I was a little curious, too. I was kind of hoping they do the full sentence.
I don't know. But I know in some of my research that I did that a woman who was from Mexico said that a lot of prison, and don't quote me on this because I have never been to Mexico. I am not from Mexico. I don't know. But she said that a lot of prisons in Mexico are like cake compared to what she would have had if she were charged and tried in the U.S. Like, she was like, some of them get like a lot of outdoor time. They get TVs. They get like coffee. They get like, you know, like things that like you're being punished, but like, are you?
Right.
Like,
I mean, and the things that I saw, they did say like they were harsher. I don't know if they did that to make the story sound better.
Right, so, like, that's where in the story, like, we're not really sure, like, the conditions of her prison. But either way, I feel like the amount of time she got is absolute trash.
The thought process she put into it.
The thought process, the planning, the, like, animosity, the hate, the absolute hate. And, like, literally, no remorse. You are getting a job as a public news anchor. Like, no remorse.
In plain sight.
In plain sight. Like, happy. Literally, you're building a life.
It was like, U.S. in your face.
Right.
You want me. You
but
can't
like,
touch
suck
me.
It. I'm over here reporting the news. Deuces, guys. Sorry, Louise. Sorry, Obette. Like, sucks for you. Like, it's just disheartening. Like, how
she just picked up, moved on with her life, got a better career. Literally, how does that even happen?
No, and it's like, you don't even care. Like, she clearly does not even care. Like, she didn't comment on it that I found, like, ever. But it's just, like, clearly by your actions, you don't feel bad. Like, you're not...
She's a narcissist.
Still not taking accountability. Like, you didn't take accountability to begin with stepping out on your relationship that, like, domino affected this whole thing. And then even after the fact, and you go to Mexico, and you're still, like... You know what, that's cool. You know, I hired someone to murder my ex, but, you know, I'm just going to get a public job and, like, go on with my life. It's cool.
I'm wanted for murder, but
yeah,
here's the news.
Right? Like,
the weather is going to be very hot today. Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
It's just like she did not care at all. And
no,
it's like,
no remorse at all.
And that's what's so scary, because you got, to me, 30-something years for this is, like, a light-ass sentence. Like, light. You're not even going to be like 100 years. You know, some people get like 85 years or whatever. And it's like, oh, you're potentially going to get out when you're 98, which is like, whatever. But still, you're not going to live your best life at 98, right? And realistically, you're going to die before that anyways. She's going to be like in her 50s.
Well, the thing is, okay, so if you go to jail here, obviously that was first degree murder.
Right.
She planned it.
Right.
She asked the questions. How do you not ever want to die?
Right.
And then she mirrored exactly what she said.
Got a guy.
And killed her like that.
Yeah.
That is clear premeditation.
Premeditation.
That's just fucking, I'm like, but come on, man, where's the justice for these people?
That's what I feel bad about. Like I said, like, this poor woman's family, like, think of her father, like, he's probably, like, so proud of her. She's coming to the States on a visa. She's studying. She doesn't have to work. Like, believe me, he has enough money. He's paying for everything for her here. And she's like, you know what? No, I want to work. I want to make a name for myself. I want to do things myself. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to help out. I'm going to give back. I'm going to help people. And then this is what you get. And
she
then
opens her house to two strangers who are in need because they are also natives.
Right.
She's like, okay, this could be good.
Right. we'll be friends. And then now her family has no justice. Like, to me, this is, like, no justice. Because, yes, it's justice in the sense that the men who actually, like, carried it out, they're in it.
She's the mastermind.
Right, but that's what I mean.
They never would have done it without her.
To me, it would not be justice because she got such a light sentence. She essentially, she didn't get away with it, but essentially, yeah, like, you should be in there for life, girl. Like, if you could go to this amount of pre-calculation, and then you're gonna get out in so many years, like, what are you gonna do then? You're gonna go on one date, and someone's gonna ghost you, and you're gonna murder that person? Like, I don't know. It's just, like, I can't.
In my opinion, you take a life, you get a life.
I mean, that's a bit barbaric.
No, you take a life, bitch, you're doing life.
Oh, I thought you meant you take a life, they take your life.
No!
I was like, calm down, girl, we're not.
If I kill somebody, I don't need to be around for the rest of my fucking
100%.
life. You don't have the right. You don't play God.
No.
You don't. Who the fuck are you?
No. And had she just taken the high road like she wanted to portray, like,
she would have been in a much better place.
Much better place. They would have been, I mean, like, you didn't have to be their friends also. Like, you placed yourself there. Like, you could have been like, hey, guys, we're cool. We can talk here and there. I'm going to get my own place.
That's what I was saying. As soon as Kimberlyn moved back in, she could have moved out.
Separate yourself.
Go find your own shit. Get your own triangle.
Right. Like,
do whatever you got to do.
Work on yourself, honey. Like, you needed some time for you and Marcella to, like, work on Marcella. Like, I just feel like she just, not purposely, but she just, like, had to have that control, that she had to stay there and she had to see this out. Like, for her, I feel like there was, like, no other way. Like, she couldn't. I just don't get narcissist. I just never.
Honey, I've dated a few of them. I'm telling you, they exist. They are out there. And it's mind-blowing. This shit they think they can get away with, and all that.
It's crazy. I just can't.
You know what? I'm happy that we can't, because you know what?
There would be a problem if we could. Like,
well, coming from you, from jail.
Right? Like, thank you for listening to our Jailhouse podcast. Like, no, for sure. Like, I am grateful that, like, we don't understand that, but it's just so frustrating for me and my mindset that, like, I can't understand it. Like,
yeah.
I just want to, but I, like, never will, and it's just annoying.
I just don't understand what gives you the right to think that you can,
like, why would you put a price on someone's life? Like, $3,000 and your virginity to a man is worth Tatsi Sanchez's up-and-coming, hard-working, kind, amazing life.
And she never even gave him the virginity.
Right.
She hightailed it to Mexico.
Right. Like, and it's like $3,000 is really, like, I get it.
And
like
a laptop and a fucking camcorder.
Like, $3,000 if you're, like, super high and dry could seem like a lot, but really, like, for murder for $3,000, how long is $3,000? It's not like $3 million where you're gonna be essentially set for life if you get off and you don't get arrested. Like, $3,000, $3,000, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna murder someone.
Honestly, I think it was the virginity part.
Well, that is sad and disgusting.
Correct. But she found the right guys for the job.
I'm just, like, speechless. That, like, literally, if that were, like, the deciding factor for this man, like, yeah, I get to take a lesbian's virginity, and you're gonna murder somebody and punish some woman this way to sleep with someone who had never slept with a man before.
I get it, but clearly, I think even that he was able to have Tzatzi and then gonna go for her, he's like, the notches on my belt are growing.
That just really describes, like, what kind of life this man had. I feel bad. I don't want to say I feel bad for him because you're a murderer and a rapist and you did what you did.
He was taken advantage of.
Yes. Like, I question, like, his mental status. Not that there's anything, like, not there, but just, like, the fact that you think that this would be worth that. Like... Right.
It just lets you know how desperate he kind of was.
Like, his mindset at the time, I feel sad for. That, like, you think this is, like, a good option for your life to go in.
Right.
Makes me sad. That you're that down and out that you're like, yes, queen, this is what I'm gonna do now. Like, and he was, like, so enthused by it and, like, so invested, clearly, by what he did to Tatsi and, like, him whispering to her. Like, he wanted to do that. So it's like... do you have issues where, like, you wanted to, like, please Marcella? Like, you want to do a good job? Like, hey, Mom, I really did a good job murdering her. Like, I don't know. It's just sad.
You know how men are about taking a chick's virginity? Like, that is held.
Murder over it?
I get that, but that is held. How many girls are on YouTube or whatever, and they'll be like 21, 22?
Oh, like auctioning it?
Yo, it's like 30, 40 grand. Guys are paying to take their virginity. They
sometimes
will pay you
more.
$100,000.
Yeah.
One was $1 million.
Yeah, that one was paid,
$1 million to take this chick's virginity.
That girl was beautiful, but still fucked up.
It's just mind blowing.
But I don't know. So that's the story of Tatsi Sanchez and Marcella and Kimberlyn, and it is completely fucked up, and clearly we are just not okay with it. And we hope you like this episode, but we do have a few closing notes. So if you like this episode, make sure to like us, follow us. So you can head to our website, crimeovercocktails.com, and see all the places that we are streaming. We are streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. We are waiting for approval from TuneIn. Should be a couple days. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We will be posting the audio. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, super happy news. We have our first patron. Woo! And our first Patreon subscriber. Shout out to Bella Marie. We adore you. We appreciate your support. Much, much love. So, also, head over to our Patreon site if you want some goodies and some extra perks just from us, your Crime Over Cocktails girls. So, with that,
we are so happy that you guys stayed and you listened to our story, and we hope you come back next week. We cannot wait to share what other...
Just wait till next week's story. If you thought this one was crazy, next week is just such another level. You just have to hear about it. I just can't.
Yeah, we're literally picking stories that for some reason either really jump out, they're crazy,
stuck with us, had so many twists and turns, so many what moments, like just things that we have heard or seen on different shows, and we're just kind of like, what the actual hell is
people
going
gotta know about this shit.
Yes. So with that, stay tuned for next week, because that one is going to be a good one. And we hope you come back.
We'll see you there.
See ya.
Bye.